All right. So next thing that we are going to discuss is job scheduler. So like we discussed previously, basically two main background processing capabilities come in the form of queue processor and job scheduler. Queue processor we discussed in the previous session, right? That's basically on-demand processing. When someone requests something to the queue processor does it. The next thing is job scheduler. Now, job scheduler is schedule based processing. When you need something to happen at a given time or at a given interval, okay, that's when we create job scheduler. The queue processors has the capability of auto queue management, where if something goes wrong, you configure things like that. If there is exception more than 3 times, then mark it fail, and there is a broken record queue from where you can requeue that and requeue that or remove that particular request. But in the job scheduler, you got to handle those things yourself. So your activity that you will plug in there in the job scheduler is going to be the most important aspect of all the processing. I mean, this is going to include everything related to your business requirement that you're going to put in there or that you're going to develop there in the form of activity, as well as exception handling. So everything should be catered then and there only. Okay. So we are going to create a job scheduler now, and just look at our case. So we have already basically we have already used a queue processor to create an account. So just, I mean, this might be or might not be a very useful basically business requirement always, but for the sake of understanding, let's do one thing. So we are asking the user to provide the customer detail, and then we have a queue processor that's creating the account, right? Now let's develop a job scheduler that will check for every case. It will check the account. Okay, it will check the account if the account has been created for that customer for the account type that we will pass as a parameter, because we are planning to have credit card opening account case as well. So this one is for the saving bank. So we will say, okay, go job scheduler, go and check for all the saving bank cases. If an account has been created, then go and update the saving bank case with a comment that account successfully created. Okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to add a property account status. Okay, in this class to hold that value whether account is created or not. Okay, so let's create a property, or actually it will be used for credit card and everywhere. So let's create it in the work class so that it can be leveraged everywhere. Okay, let's create a boolean property account created, yes or no, true or false. Okay, all right. Now let's create a job scheduler. Job scheduler is also part of sysadmin category. Here it is. We will name it update account creation status. Okay, it's taking a little while to load. So first of all, of course, enable the job scheduler if you want to run it right away. Otherwise, just disable it. Then which node? Let's just keep it at the moment all associated node. Otherwise, you can select basically the type. So we designate certain node in the cluster for background, certain for other purposes. So this is of course at the moment background processing, and all background node will run it. So there is one more challenge. When you have more than one background node, this job scheduler is going to run on more than one node in the same environment. So you got to control that these two instances of job scheduler don't pick the same record for processing. That is something that you don't have to worry about. The queue processor Pega manages that. But for the job scheduler, this is also something that you can think about. Maybe you can pass some sort of flag and divide the data into as many categories, as many node you have, and I mean this is something you got to handle. I'm going to run it only one associated node. Only one. I mean, if there are more than one background processing node, it will run only on one node. Now this is where you configure the schedule. So you have multiple times a day where you will say that every 1 hour or every 1 minute or every 1 second or 10 second or 15 second based on your requirement. This is something that we are going to do daily. We are going to run it every day in the evening. Okay. So every 1 day. Do you want to run it only on the weekdays? If you say so, it will run on the weekdays, and you got to select the time zone and all that, basically time and what time it should start and what time zone should that time be taken from. We are going to do it every single day. The start time is going to be, let's say, 9 a.m. Okay, I'm going to change it to 9:15 or 9:20. We can change it anytime or sell. Okay, and this is going to be IST. So Asia Kolkata. So when you are running this background process, which access group or which context will it take? So in the queue processor, it was taking the access group of the person who queued that item, of the requester who queued that item. Here you can use runtime context. That is something that we define on the on system general system runtime context. That's where we define the runtime context. So it will have all the permissions that is listed here. So the application that it will have access to and role. The other option is to specify an access group. Okay. So at the moment, I'm just going to use an access group, and I'm going to use admin. Admin access group is something that we shouldn't be using. We should create an access group with minimum permission that is needed for the job scheduler. But we haven't covered those topics yet. So we will just say OBS author. So we are going to run it on the work class, right, of your case. So we will say CB, the class has to be selected where activity will also be created there. Okay. New saving account. Okay. And the activity we are going to do is create is the same thing, same name. Just create and open. So since we are going to reuse this, we will be having it in the work class only. Okay. Because we will reuse the same activity for other case type as well. We will add a parameter account type. So now first thing is that we need to open all the SBA cases. Okay. So how do we open the SBA cases? We can browse them. We can run a report definition, right? You can use data pages to open them, but you need to you need to actually finally save it. So let's loop through a database that is automatically created when we set up a node. Okay, so if you go set up a case, so if you go there, new saving account list, that will have all the saving accounts without any parameter. It will give you all the saving account cases. See, there are total 21. But then there is a trick. Should we really check all the cases every day? Ideally, no, right? We should be checking the ones where that status is not updated. The one that we are going to update it, right? That status is not true. That's the case that we should be looking at. So let's not use the data page. We will do an OBJ browse first. And before that, we will have to optimize this property that we added for this class. So this is automatically going to be optimized for this class 2. This is what we needed. So because the work pool is same, table is same. So finish. So now we are going to do obj browse. When you do obj browse, you will have to specify a page. So temp, or we will say SBA case set. Okay, this is going to have a list of cases. So what should be the type? Code Pega list class. Of course, the results of this is going to be the specific class of px results, and that is going to be new saving account. Okay, so this is the list that we will give. The class is going to be this one. Okay, we will browse that. Maximum record, we will say 20 in a batch. Okay, or let's say 5. So it will keep on updating 5 record in a batch in one run. So maybe we will run it multiple time a day. Okay, it will keep fetching 5 records every time and then save it. Now the criteria is going to be account created is not true basically. Okay, so it is either null okay, or not true, right? Is false in both cases. So logic is going to be A and B. So B will have to get A or B. Here I think the or will work like this. Okay. So if both, I mean in any case where either the account created is null or it is blank, it is false. That's when we will check that, right? So we will open the class. That's the first thing. Second, what else? Once you have got the list, then one second. Sorry, just let me save it. Oh, okay. Account type. Okay. So we got all the list of accounts, right? We will select the CID as well because that is important, right? For us to check if the account is open or not. Cust ID, select only, value only. We will browse through this and then we will see if there is an account for that or not. If there is an account, then we will update it as a true. If there isn't any account, then we will update that property as false and then we'll save it. So the browse that you do is read only. Remember that. So you got to open one by one those cases as well. So let's loop. So we are going to loop for each embedded page of the PX result. PX result. And then if you look at the account data type, so it has CID and account number, right? So how do we check if the account is created for that case? So what we will do is we will write some. We can right. No, we know the CID for sure. We will pass the CID and then we will see if SBA, we can pass the SBA type. If there is a record for SBA type this, then this is created, right? Otherwise it is not created.
But we have to mark up if it is stated, and we have to mark that we have already checked that report for the
We will
second.
do that in the case. We will update in the case whether the account is created or not. And next time we will not pick that up.
Okay.
So first we need to develop a way to check that, right? So let's create a data page in this class where we will pass the account number and account type and it will return the result. If there is a result in that data page, that means account is created. Otherwise account is not created. Okay. So you can browse there here too, but let's use the data page this time. So let's create a data page here. Get account by type. Okay. Create and open. Pass two parameter account type and CID. Both are mandatory. We will write a report definition and this has to be converted into list if you don't want to. That's okay. Even I mean it will return only one result most probably. So so we will select account number. Okay. And parameters are going to be account type and CID. Text where CID is equal to param dot CID and account type is equal to param dot account type. Use null if empty. Save it. Pass the current parameter. Same name. Save it. Let's test it. Account type SBA CID C1. So there is one result count, right? That means there is a result. We can check the result count there in the, yeah, see, this is there. So let's come back to the activity. So within that, let's add a child. In this one, we will check the result. Okay. we will have to check the whether that account is created or not. So how do we do that? We have a data page. We will have to pass two things: the parameter SBA, or basically account type, that needs account type, and CID. So let's set the parameter first for that database. So we can set the parameters for a database externally as well, and that's going to be account type. And this is exactly what we will get from the job scheduler. Okay, and then param dot CID, which is going to be from taken from this one. Okay, so dot CID. We have this. Now we will next step we will do when there is a entry, that means the record is available. All right, record is available when the record count is greater than 1 or greater than 0. Then we are going to open a new case, sorry, open the case, update this value and save it. Okay, so when expression builder browse, I mean we don't have to browse, we can just simply give the database name. Parameter don't have to pass, it will automatically, because we have set it, so it will be there. Dot px result count. Okay, the property that you see when you run it on the main page itself. SBA C1. So see, you see a result count, right? Px result count. If this is greater than 0, that means there is a record, right? So if this is greater than 0, then continue. Otherwise, we will jump to another step that I will tell you guys. Submit this. So when this is there, then we will have to open that particular case. Okay. So we will add one temp case page to hold the case. So we have the, when we browsed, we have the pgins key. So we can use open by handle. You can do this in the savable database too if you want, but let's just go ahead with this one. So here we will have open the case and pgins key is what we will pass. We will lock it, we will release on command. Okay, let me just property set, we did, we opened it. Next thing we are going to do is update that, right? Property set on this one and account created true, right? This is done. And then you got to save this page, right? We will not write immediately, we will have it done through the transactional commit of Pega. What happens if this is not true? Account is not, so you can update it to false or leave it. At the moment we will leave it. Okay, so we will have a placeholder where we will just log a message that account is not created for that CID. Okay, so log message, this is going to be info account is not created for this is customer ID and account type for CID this, and space and account type, that is again param dot account type. Okay, so we will mark this as no account. Okay, now when we check this, if this is true, then we will continue, otherwise we will jump to this step. Okay, so these processing will be skipped if account is not, because we don't want to update anything, we don't want to open anything, right, or save anything. All right, so we are browsing, we are checking one by one, we are updating the case, and that's it. And if there is no account, we are logging that message. So this should complete the job for the moment. All right, let's clear the page. You should always clear the page that you are using temporarily. Okay, so yes, BA is, this one is not required, and later this one too is not required. One more thing for every, okay, yeah, that should be okay. Now let's go back there. We can have it in the work class. This is there. All right, let's enable it. I'm going to enable it for the moment multiple time a day, every 5 minutes. Okay, let's save it. All right, now if you go to the admin studio, and this is the job. You should see ours update account creation. Okay, as soon as you submit and enable, it will automatically come here. So next run time is 12:12 a.m. This is US time, I think. Yeah, because that's where the operator, my operator's time zone is defined in the US. So let me reduce that time a little bit. Every 1 minute I'm going to do it at the moment. Okay, let's go back to the admin studio. Okay, it will update the last finished run, average run duration, and everything, and execution, how many were successful. Let me have tracer enabled as well so that we know what it is doing. Let's wait for the execution. Okay, so this failed. It cannot open. Somehow this is not being passed. Okay, let's do one thing. So update. So when we are doing this, properties that we are doing it, right? Let's just add a local parameter. I mean a parameter which will say account created. Just a placeholder on the param page. And this is going to be true or false. Okay. and its expression, we are going to build that expression. This is one second, pass this parameter itself. Okay, param dot account type, comma, CID, cost CID. Okay, so we are specifying the parameter explicitly. That wasn't working. We'll check that later. Let's see if this is expression. Where is that one? To oh, the database name is missing. Okay, it's updated. Oh, good. Submit. Save. All right. Let's trace it again. So there has been 4 executions. Trace it. It's failing again. PX result count not valid. Okay, let me take that out of that loop. Okay, I'm going to get that count into a parameter and then use it separately. So here I'm going to set this, take this value into param dot number of accounts. And this I'm going to use here if it is greater than 0. Then continue. Else see that. So we ran the data page in the property set, got the count into a temporary parameter page, parameter property, and then we're checking what the count is. because in the when condition directly the parameter is not being able to read. That's not being read by the Pega. Okay, but it is going to be false for everything. Let's check the parameter here. Number of account is null. Account type and CID is, oh sorry, I'll have to provide the account type when we configure this job scheduler. Without that it will not work. So save it. Yeah, it might have the customer ID, but without account type, how will it fetch that? And that's a mandatory thing. So let's go ahead. Hopefully this time it will. Just waiting for the next execution. The job scheduler is scheduled to run every minute. So it will just, the tracer will start tracing when it runs the next time. Good. So this time, if you see, for the first one, it is false. This is false. There are plenty of cases, right? And accounts are not for every created for every case, but one rule evolution. True, true, true. This one is being updated. Get account by type. It's also fetching the record. Okay. All right. So let's see if there are any cases which are updated. Okay. So we can go back to the Dev Studio, open all the instances of the saving bank account. So that is, just go to the App Explorer and click on this class. We'll just have to little wait because we have only 5. Let me change that. It's transactional commit, right? So commit will not happen immediately because we haven't done right now. For the testing purposes, let's just do the right now so that it will be reflected right away. and we will pick some case IDs there on the run record as well to check. Job could not be found. All right, so let's see. False, false, false. Okay. All right. So what we will do is we will quickly create a case ourselves. Okay, and we will check on that. So let's go back to the Dev Studio. We'll create a new case. Yes, I will say C2 submit. Approve. So let's see if the account is getting created. We have new account for C2. That is okay. Okay, so we got a new account. Now, if I refresh this, clipboard, okay, so seems like we haven't got the PZ key, and that's why it's not able to open it. So let's see. Every case should have that, but obj browse get row key we have selected that. Why it's not retrieving that? Yeah, add that anyway. PZ key. This would ideally be selected from here itself, but that's fine. Let's try doing this again. Studio. Yes. Okay. So this is again failing, and it is saying that featured INS key is not available. Parameter is alright. Number of accounts too. It's just that it cannot open that, right? So I see. Date, and we are doing an OPJ open by handle. Actually, it's primary. We'll take the case data. Let's test it again. Okay, so the thread has started. Let's see. Is it still defined? This is fine. Okay, so mhm. So, all right, let's just restore the PJDNS key here. One second. Do we have the PJDNS key on this one? Yeah, we already have it. So we'll just break it down. We'll store temporarily on a param dot key. Put the PJDNS key here. This time it should work. We are doing an open by handle. All right, let's test it now. Okay, so this time we should have it updated, no failures. So obj save. So this case has been updated. 203. Okay, let's check that out. Dev Studio. Refresh. Work page. So here see here the account type is created. This has now been updated. Okay. So basically the problem was with PJDNS key not being passed in. So we just held it in a parameter at the beginning of the loop itself and then pass the parameter so that it's separately available, and then of course everything rest remains same. So this is a typical use case for job scheduler, and this is how it runs. Thank you.